going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm Brandon. This is Extreme Daily Drivers. Today we're fitting 33s on our Jeep Commander. So if you guys are fans of the channel, your first question is probably, why are we even bothering doing this? We have some tires on there. Didn't we do a lift already? Didn't we already upgrade our tires? Haven't we already upgraded our wheels twice? The answer is yes. We have done all those things, but we're not just going to rest there, man. We could always be better. So we are going to be going with a different set of tires. We are going to be modifying our lift. We are going to be modifying our vehicle. There's going to be a lot of stuff getting modified in order to make this work. So like I said, man, we're going to have to modify our suspension. Now, you guys already know they got a 2-inch lift on there already with some H&R Racing springs. And that barely fits the 265 7017 tires that I have on there right now. So in order to fit a tire that's 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches bigger in diameter, we are going to have to raise the vehicle. Now, we don't want to raise the vehicle to the moon, because once you do that, you start raising your center of gravity, the car starts driving crazy, and then also you lose all your down travel, which if you're going off-road, that's a huge issue. And even if you're just driving down the street, if you have no down travel on your suspension, when you hit a pothole, that wheel drops, it's going to be bottoming out already. So in order for us to make this all work, we're going to have to add a lift. We want to do as little one as possible, and we're going to have to try to keep everything in alignment. And in order to do that, we're going to have to modify some of the suspension components, one of which are upper control arms. So one of the big suspension upgrades that we're doing today are these. These are new upper control arms from Rocky Road Outfitters. These are going to allow us to adjust caster to give us kind of a better tire positioning here in the wheel well. Hopefully we'll be able to move this tire a little bit further towards the front bumper, which will create more space for us back here where the tire meets the fender on big turns. This also comes with upgraded ball joint here, which we are actually going to upgrade even more. I'll get into that later after we actually get this guy installed. So this is going to be step one today, getting this guy installed. So let me get the jack under here, pull this tire off, and we'll get started on it. So with the wheel removed, you can see kind of everything I got going on in here. I've already done the pinch weld mod. I did a video on that. We are going to extend it a little bit. I want to flatten that guy out, so we're going to be doing that later in the video. We are going to be relocating this ABS sensor. I believe that's what that is. We're going to relocate that somewhere else. Here you can see my current upper control arm setup, and you may notice that my upper ball joints are much different than yours. These are actually adjustable by SPCs. These are excellent. They've been great so far. I have a perfect alignment because of these. They allow for kind of to and fro, but not front to back. And that's what we're going to need in order to get the clearance we need today. So great setup. These will be for sale. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, for the pair, $100 plus shipping or something like that. Let me know down in the comments if you're interested in picking up these upper control arms. I'm not going to remove the ball joint from the upper control arm, so you get them both together. But yeah, so we're gonna have to pull this pin, loosen this bolt up. But first, before we do that, we have to disconnect the front sway bar. I should also add that I removed the wheel liner. I did this a couple days ago because I wanted to spray down the bolts with some penetrating fluid to make it easier to remove them. This is my driver's side. You can see here, it's been trimmed severely. That's because I've cut my bumper. And then back here, there's a unique cutout, and that is because this is the area that I was rubbing really badly. I thought maybe I could just cut this part out and I'd get away from rubbing, but I just didn't cut enough, man. It was still catching here and here, and when your tire, especially an aggressive tire like the Toyos, when it hits this plastic, man, it makes the loudest, stupidest noise. It makes you think your car's falling apart. It makes such a loud noise. So this is one of the modifications that we're going to be doing. We're going to be changing this up so that we don't have any kind of rubbing issues, but we still have protection underneath the wheel well. That'll be coming later in the video, but for now, let's get that sway bar disconnected. Sway bar is disconnected. Now we're going to focus up here. Pull this out. Just bend this back and pull this out. These things always give me a hard time. I don't know why, but I always struggle pulling these things out. We got it. Don't know how reusable it is, but it's out. So now we're going to want to separate the upper control arm from the spindle, loosen this nut up, bring it down a little bit, and then smack this with a hammer until they separate. I don't want to remove that all the way, because if I do, the spindle will want to fall forward. But we got it loose. We got separation, as you can see there. So now I want to focus on these bolts here. It's really a weird setup. 15 millimeter inside, 18 outside on the nut. It's so stupid. Another thing that's stupid is the way they're configured. The long bolt has to slide out this way. Same on this side, it has to slide out this way. If these things were flipped, I think it would be a lot easier because you would be pulling the bolt about from back here. Some people do that on reinstallation. I don't know that we're going to do that because I don't think we're going to have to. But anyway, let me get my wrenches and start loosening those guys up. So let me show you this, gives you a better understanding of what I'm talking about. You have to slide this bolt out, and the bolt is long. It's like that long. So it has to slide out a significant amount. I don't want to do it right now because I don't want the upper control arm to be kind of cockeyed as I wrestle with this bolt. But what we're probably going to have to do is loosen the bolts up here, which is no big deal because we have another addition we're doing to the suspension today. But by loosening those bolts, it'll give us some play with the shock housing. So we'll be able to kind of maneuver it up and down a little bit to make room to get those bolts in and out. So this guy was super easy on the driver's side. Now we got to tackle this guy, and I think I'll be able to make it happen without having to remove anything. So let me wrestle with it. Sometimes it's all about having the right tools, man. I try to get a socket up in there. It's really hard. There's a lot of cabling going on in there. I'm sure I could probably still make it happen, but I got one of these offset 18 millimeters back there, and it's working like a charm. I got my ratcheting wrench here, and as you can see, it's working. So I'll put a link down in the description for this. This isn't something you're really going to probably have in your garage, but I got a set of these off Amazon for like 20 bucks, and they're awesome. I'll tell you what, dude, that actually wasn't bad at all. But you know, Extreme Daily Drivers, man, we're not finished. We'll get into that in a minute. Let's compare these two upper control arms here so you get a better understanding of why we're doing this. We did upgrade the ball joint, right? We put an adjustable one in so it can allow for camber. But what we really need is caster, and that's what these kind of have built into them. So they have a different build to them. It's supposed to be able to give you more caster, so you have better clearance to front and rear of the wheel. Just looking at these two, you can tell these arms are much thicker. They're gusseted here. They have a nice upper ball joint here. This one is a press situation. This one you just remove with a couple bolts. This comes with a Moog upper ball joint. All right. These are just rubber bushings, much like the stock ones. So they shouldn't squeak or anything like that. Now, a lot of people, you have basically two choices here when you're buying upper control arms. You can either go with Rocky Road Outfitters or you can go with JBA. JBA are like $75 more. They're red. Some people say they're much better. Some people say they're not. I don't know. One thing that everyone complains about with the JBAs is that you have to use these washers in order to make them fit properly. Well, the Rocky Road Outfitters are really no different. You do have to use washers. You can see that they come here with some. And the reason being is that when we insert this into position here, you can see there's pretty significant space there and a pretty significant space there. So we will be using these washers to center these things or whatever. I'll do a little bit more research on that before we install these guys. But anyway, so that's the upper control arm situation. Should make for a nice upgrade and definitely more strength, which we'll need with those bigger, heavier tires. So I guess this is a good time to talk about why I went with the Rocky Road Outfitter upper control arms and not the more popular maybe JBAs. Number one, there is a savings of $75 to $75, especially when you're doing all the stuff to the car. It adds up over time. And number two, I didn't really want them red. I know it's a stupid reason, but there's nothing red on this vehicle. I didn't want them red. And number three, I didn't see the big enough difference between these two companies to justify the $75. Rocky Road Outfitters, their biggest kind of negative, I think, is their customer service. There's a lot of negative stuff on the internet about their customer service, not necessarily their products. And JBA, if you really dig into those upper control arms, not only for the Commander, but also for 4Runners and Toyota Tacomas. It's a real popular upgrade for a lot of vehicles, and there are a lot of people that say they squeak, they make noise, this, that, and the other thing. So they don't have a flawless kind of product history. Which one's better than the other? I don't know. You let me know down in the comments. We're running the RROs, the Rocky Road Outfitter ones. We'll see if they suck. If they do, we'll upgrade in the future. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the purchase. Let's focus our attention to our current setup here, lift-wise. All right, so we got springs. That's giving us 2 inches of lift. Now, if we wanted more lift, we could install some adjustable Bilstein shocks that have adjustable perches, which can give you a little bit more lift. But we don't need to do that because we got these nice Coney struts here. What we can do is install strut plate. All right, now this is from Rusty's. This is, I think, 50 bucks. And this is supposed to give you a 1/2 inch worth of lift. A lot of people install these and they say they barely can tell the difference once installed, but it's supposed to be able to give you a 1/2 inch worth of lift. But instead of installing these, we are going to install these. I got these from I think CBI. I think that's the name of it, CBI Off-Road or something like that. $50 shipped. These are supposed to give us 3/4 inches of lift, and they are about twice the thickness of the Rusty spacers. So I'm excited to install these. I think it's going to be pretty significant, to be honest with you. So in order to install this, we have to undo the bolts in the engine bay, and then this guy will sit on top of the strut. So this is actually the part of this installation I've been dreading the most. Not only do we have to access those bolts, especially difficult on the driver's side, but we have to wrestle with the spring and strut assembly in order to make room to slide this guy on. So this is going to be the hardest part of this installation, but it may be the most rewarding. So underneath all of this are the 4 bolts we need to access to lower our strut. All right, that was kind of a pain in the butt. Now, you won't have such a laborious time doing this as I do. I had to disconnect the battery. Wires running everywhere because I have so much stuff hooked up to this vehicle. But this guy unclips, 4 clips on each side. He pries out of the way. That's super easy. That gives you access to 3 nuts that hold down a plastic bracket. And once those are removed, that's what they look like, you will have access to the bolts underneath. Now, that just gives us access. I don't want to get ahead of myself here because, get this ladder out of the way here, show you what we got to be dealing with. What I need to do is I need to compress this spring, because if I just loosen those bolts up there, yeah, this will drop down a little bit, not much. I do not want to mess with all this crap down here. So what I'm going to do is get my spring compressor out. I'm going to compress this spring now while everything's still solid, and that should give me enough room to slide that spacer's plate up on top. All right, spring compressor's on there. They are snug. So now I'm going to loosen the bolts up top. This whole contraption will drop down a little bit, and then I will actually use a floor jack underneath the spindle here, jack it up a little bit. That will compress the spring slowly, and then as I do that, I can continue to tighten these bolts down, shrinking the whole assembly, which should allow me to easily slide the spacer on up top. This is all stuff I've read online. Hopefully it's gonna work for me, because yeah, this is, like I said, the part I've been worried about the most. There you have it, boys. Spacer installed. Woo! It's all about technique, man. It really wasn't that bad. This would have been a hell of a lot easier with 2 people, but I have my floor jack under here, jacking this up, using the compressors, tightening them down. The jack helps with the spring compression. Yeah, those are about as tight as they're gonna go. So if you're doing this at home, yeah, it's a big deal. But yeah, we got it in there. Look up here, got all the bolt heads through there. So now we just gotta fasten everything back together, and we'll be finished with the spacer install. Man, that was the thing I've been worried about all day long. So now all I have to do, take all this stuff off, and we'll install the new upper control arms. All right, cleaned everything up in here, and I got the bolts kind of where they're supposed to go, and this is the test fit to make sure that I'll be able to slide them out and slide them back in. If I need to loosen the strut a little bit to get a little bit more jiggle room, I can do that. I don't think I'll need to. So the new control arms are gonna go in like so. And according to the directions, these little washers that they come with are gonna go on the outside. So it's gonna go one there and then one there. The directions that came with the upper control arms are very well done, in my opinion. We have some photos, and we also have a good detail amount of words here. So here in this photo, it's showing you exactly where to put the spacer. All right, man, we're getting there. We're getting there. I got the bolts in. On this side, I reversed the bolt. It's just easier. Instead of going this way, it's going this way. So it's just easier to do on this side. On this side, I wanted to highlight how I got that washer in there. I have a little magnetic wand. I put the washer on the end of the wand, and I slid it up in there. Bloop. Held it into place as I slid the bolt through. So a little tip to make things easier. All right, man, I'm hyped, man. We got a lot of stuff done here. Super hyped on this. Obviously, we have to do it all on the other side too, but this is kind of the guinea pig side. Once we figure it out on this side, the other side should be easier. So we got it kind of all buttoned up here, man. I mean, check it out. Upper control arms installed now. You don't want to hammer these bolts down just yet. You want to tighten everything down when the vehicle's actually on the ground. So these are very loosely tight. I mean, they're really not tight at all. I put some lithium grease in there where the bushing rubs against the metal. Don't know if I need it. I just did it anyway. I read someone online recommend it, so I have some. I just sprayed it in there. So let's talk about this upper ball joint that comes with these RRO upper control arms. Now, this is for a Cadillac, I believe. This is a super heavy duty upper ball joint that comes with these Rocky Road Outfitter upper control arms. They are made by Moog. Moog used to be a company that everybody loved and everybody used their parts. A lot of the parts on the Prelude are Moog suspension parts, but Moog has gone downhill over the years. I've read it in several forums. So there's a guy on Facebook, the Jeep Commander Nation forum is really the only one I really kind of check out too much. But when I was doing my research on this, he recommended these Kryptonite upper ball joints. And they are made in America. They have a lifetime guarantee, and they are a direct OEM replacement. Is one of these open? For what we got going on here. Let me get it out of the bag so you can see it. All right, here you go. I know it's not all that impressive. But yeah, this guy, Ken Westers, shout out to him. He recommended these. I think I actually instant messaged him too about them. But we're gonna give these a shot, man. Excellent warranty, stout performance. So let's go ahead, take off these couple, 12mm bolts maybe? Pull out the old one. We'll drop the new one in and we'll fill it with some grease, just in case there isn't any in there. All right, guys, got it swapped out. Kryptonite, up in the club. Looks awesome. Reused the hardware that came with the original upper control arms. I like that they're black, and they're the exact same thing that comes in the box with the Kryptonite one, so why not? Make sure, whenever you install anything like this, that you grease it up. Don't assume that there's grease in here, because there isn't typically. So put some grease in there, make it nice. I got this semi-tight. Again, tighten everything when the weight of the vehicle is on it. And the last thing that we're doing here is we're going to change out the sway bar end links. I got these off of Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description. They're brand new, and I already did the one on the other side because it was so toast, man. But check this out. Huh? Is this thing trash or what? So for like $30 a piece, get yourself some new end links, and then we'll be looking good in the front suspension. All right, guys, both sides done. It was a marathon, but we got it finished. It's looking sick. It looks a lot higher. Obviously, everything needs to settle, but we got ourselves a good amount of room with those strut plates by CB Engineering. Our upper control arms looking good. Man, I can't wait to get tires on here. It is going to be looking sick. Comment below, let me know what you think so far. We're actually still going to make a change to the rear. All right, so for the rear, we're starting off with some 2-inch, man, these things are huge, aren't they? 2-inch spacers from Rusty's Off-Road. We have some 2-inch bump stops, hopefully they work. And we have some rear sway bar end links. This is the stock length, hopefully it works. These, man, this is gonna raise the rear up a lot, probably 4 inches. That may cause issues. That may cause these to be too short, in which we'll have to get extended ones or adjustable ones. It may also cause us that we may need to get a adjustable rear track bar. So lots of things that this may cause. I'm not against cutting these in half. I don't know how hard that would be. I don't know if it's worth doing. We'll see when we get these things on here. I would say that if you are not running a rear tire carrier, you probably don't need these. You'd probably be totally level. But because of our rear tire carrier and the additional weight on the very, very end of the Jeep, I think these things are going to be necessary. All right, guys, check out what came in the mail today. Obviously, we got a set of 4, but I just rolled one in here for you guys to check out. These are the new tires. Super pumped on these. These are the Kenda Cleaver RTs 285/70/17. Super hyped on these things, man. I actually got them for under $1,000 shipped, and we'll talk about why I went with these over some other brands. But first, let's go ahead and size them up, see just how much bigger they are. So these are going to get installed. Pretty significant. These are going to be sick. Look over here with the wheel in there. Totally awesome. Man, I am pumped on these. So like I was saying, these are 285/70/17s. What I have in the car, 265/70/17s. These are going to be significantly taller. I mean, this is not a great measurement here, but definitely 1.5 inches, right? Definitely 1.5 inches, maybe closer to 2 inches. And then width, and again, these don't have air in them, so I know it's not perfect, but these are about 10 inches wide. And tread pattern on the Toyos is about 8.5. That's right, man. Kenda Cleaver RTs. I've wanted these tires for actually a couple of years now. I almost pulled the trigger on these instead of getting the Toyos, but they were kind of a newer tire at the time, so I went with Toyos, which in my opinion are literally the best tires you can buy, whether it's for your Jeep or your Miata or your Prelude. Toyo makes some amazing tires. So when it came time to go bigger, I decided, hey, I'm going to give these things a shot. Over the years, they've obviously been on a ton of rigs, a lot of 4Runners, a lot of Tacomas, which is primarily where, if you guys don't know, primarily where I get a lot of my inspiration from for my vehicle. There's very little done with Jeep Commanders over the years, so there's not a ton out there that's inspiring. So I kind of looked at other similar vehicles, and the Toyotas just have such a strong fan base, so much feedback on all the products that people use for those things. And this is a really popular tire for Tacomas and 4Runners. And everybody loves them. Everybody loves them. So super stoked on them. They are 10-ply, and they have 3-ply sidewalls, super strong tires. They weigh 60 pounds. You can see I'm a little out of breath just rolling that thing around. They weigh 60 pounds. Currently, I think the Toyo AT3s that I have on here are like 38 pounds. So this is a significant jump in weight. But they're significantly stronger because the current Toyos are like 4-ply, right? So we're going from 4-ply to 10-ply, plus a 3-ply sidewall, plus a much larger tire. So yeah, man, these are gonna be so rad. I cannot wait to get them mounted. What's going on, guys? Got the tires mounted. It looks sick. I'm not gonna show you right now. You're gonna have to wait till the end. But man, it looks freaking awesome. But as expected, we ran into an issue. So let me show you what we gotta deal with. Here on the driver's side, it's the worst. And we discovered something else on this driver's side while we were messing with alignment, and that is that the lower control arm on the driver's side is shot. The inner bushing in there is like squirting out the side. So I need to replace this lower control arm before I can get like a really good alignment where we can adjust caster more towards the front of the vehicle. We were able to do that on the passenger side, and it definitely helped, but on the driver's side, we were unable to. So as a result, in the little driving that I've done, I am hitting here, which I assumed was gonna happen anyway. I was planning on making a trim there, But the bigger issue is, man, I'm hitting here. Can you see that? Let me grab a light so you can see it better. Okay, so I'm hoping you guys can see this better. As I said earlier in the video, I did the pinch weld mod and turned out pretty clean. Happy with it. You see how flat this is folded over here, but right here, it's not so flat and not so clean. So I'm gonna grab a grinder and see if I can smooth this down so that it's flush, because you can see it's sticking out a significant amount. So I wanna grind this down as much as I can. I'm gonna try smacking with a hammer a little bit too to see if that improves things. But I really don't care about this. That's easy to fix. All right, guys, check it out. Look at how close that is. Can you see that? It is just barely touching. If I go turn the wheel more, it'll clear. If I turn the wheel less, it will clear. This is basically the only time we would have any kind of contact. Pretty happy with what we accomplished here. I know that's not perfect, but again, the alignment on this side is messed up. Once we get that lower control arm replaced, we should be good to go. All right, guys. I just got back from our second alignment for this project. That's right. We've aligned this thing twice now because we finally got a good lower control arm on the driver's side. So I have a new lower control arm on the passenger side, a new one on the driver's side. And luckily, I thought ahead and brought a brand new Clevis bolt, so we were able to make that all happen without any issues over at my buddy Junior's. So now, we're finally at the end here. We can go ahead and install some splash guards, but we can't just throw in the OEM ones. They're not going to fit. They're going to have to be chopped. We're going to modify them here in a minute. But before we do that, I came up with a solution to kind of protect the little sensor that relays your tire pressure to your computer. So let me show you how we're going to go ahead and protect that guy. All right, so here is my plan. It's rubber. I got it off Amazon. I think it was 20 bucks. This stuff is super thick. It's totally like flexible, pliable. It's totally water resistant. So I'm going to cut a piece out. And then I'm going to install it here. This is hollow, so I could use self-tapping screws and some washers and cover this little area here. Keep that guy nice and dry. Check it out. What do you guys think? Comment below. I think it turned out pretty good. If I really wanted to get cute, I could bend back the pinch weld, tuck this piece underneath, and then it would really be pretty tight. But that gives me good protection here and easy access to that sensor if I ever need to get to it. And looking at the profile over here, I think we're gonna be all right. We'll find out once we start driving, but if anything, I could change the head of these nuts to be even more kind of low profile, so I could play with that if I have to. All right, so the last piece is figuring out the plastic splash guard and what we wanna cover and what we don't wanna cover. Believe it or not, I really don't wanna cover this area. Two reasons. One, it gives me fantastic access to my starter, right? And the yellow wire, you see it there? And two, it allows heat to dissipate from that header. And looking at my header, I don't think the heat shield's on it that's supposed to be on it. So previous owner shenanigans, I'm not sure, but any way to let heat out is good. So I think what I might do is drill some holes in the splash guard to allow heat to escape through there. And then as far as covering the rest, I really want to try to cover as much of this as I can. Dude, I will tell you right now, there is nothing I hate more than the plastics on these ridiculous, over-engineered splash guards for the Jeep Commander. These things are indestructible. I swear to God, you could shoot this thing with a .45 and the bullet would not go through it. They are so cumbersome, heavy, hard to work with. Ugh. But anyway, I digress. Check it out, man. Check it out. Hope you guys can see this. Hope it's showing up on camera. I just sprayed some plastic dip kind of all over everything to blacken it up a little bit. I think I'm probably going to hit this, what's it called, splash guard with some, you know, plastic protector or something like that, make it look a little better. But here we go, man. There's the cut. Check out the rubber installed, looking good. Happy with that. And we got our speed holes. Actually, they're really heat holes, right? Let some of that exhaust air out. And yeah, I made a cut up here in the front too. So this jerk off of a thing is back in here, and we're finally finished. Of course, I gotta do the other side too, but yeah, man, we're finally at the end of this 33-inch tire video. All right, guys, are you ready for this? This is it, for real. I know I've opened this door 10 times in this video, but this is the final time. Check it out. Oh, the Jeep Commander on 33s. Man, it wasn't easy, was it? You didn't think this video was gonna be this long, did you? Well, I knew it would be this long. It's a lot of work, dude. It is a lot of work. But check it out, man. We made it happen. We made it happen. No, you really can't see much in there, but you guys have been here the whole time. You know what it takes. You know what we did. Cut fenders, cut liners, installed rubber, pinch weld, of course, more cut fenders, upper control arms, spacer plates, and let me show you the rear, because I really haven't shown you the rear. So I didn't really do any filming when we were installing the spacers in the rear, but I want to give you a shot of it here. You can see spacer mounted on top of the spring here. We got our new 2-inch bump stop installed, and really can't show you, but we got those end links installed. And everything is good, man. The ride is solid. Now, another thing I wanted to show you guys is our new ground clearance. Let's see where we're at here. I'm curious myself. Yeah, man, I'd say we're right at 11 inches. Check it out. That's pretty good for the front. Now, obviously, the diff in the back can be a little lower. Let's go back there and see what the height is. So back here, it looks like we're at 9 3/4. Not bad. So I know you guys are going to ask about axle angles after, you know, the lift and the spacers. Check it out, man. It's basically about as good as you could have ever hoped for. I mean, it's basically straight. This is the passenger side, and this is the driver's side. So what do you guys think of these tires, man? These Kenda Cleaver RTs. Are these things aggressive as hell or what? I love this way the sidewall looks with the wheel design that I got here with the Method 705s. You check these things out, man. They are crazy aggressive. Absolutely sick. You know, you would think that this tread, which is kind of like a hybrid between an MT and an AT, you would think that this would be pretty loud, but it really isn't. It's pretty quiet on the road. You can hear it a little bit, but it's not bad. And also, I thought the weight of the tires would be more of an issue, but it really isn't. I can kind of feel that it's there, but I've been tracking my miles per gallon and really hasn't gone down much. So this is not as much of a downside as I had thought originally with all the additional weight. So I still do have a little bit of rubbing. It's super minor though. It's totally something I could live with. Even off-road, it's not that bad. But I want to show you over here on the driver's side. I haven't put the plastic in on this side yet because I do have the air conditioning. Oops. I do have the air conditioning and the heat going to the rear of the cabin. So I'm gonna delete all that stuff. That stuff's all gonna get ripped out. Then I'll cap off the AC lines, and I will put you can see those heater coil hoses up there. I'm going to just put a 90 or a 45 in there instead of the T, and just get rid of all that stuff. I'm not gonna videotape it. It's just, I'm gonna just do it. But yeah, man, that's coming. But upper control arms, super awesome. Everything's good. The car drives great, man. It drives super awesome. So with the spacers in the rear, it's stiffer back there now, right? So it feels better, more planted. And the front feels great. There are no real downsides to how I did this, other than the occasional rubbing you might get. But dude, I've been driving lowered cars for 30 years. I'm always rubbing on something. It's nothing new to me. And it's totally worth it. I mean, dude, look, the presence, I can't stress to you, it's probably not coming up on camera. The presence this vehicle now has is serious, right? Now you go to a Jeep only event or something like that and you fit in. You don't look like you showed up with an SUV that has tiny tires and wheels on it and everything else. So it now has that kind of Jeep off-road aggressive look to it. and couldn't be happier, man. It was worth all the money and all the hard work to make it all happen. So anyway, if you guys made it this far in the video, you guys are totally awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I want to say, this is coming out the day after Christmas. I want to say Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Can't thank you guys enough for following along with this build, following along with all the other builds that we've done on the channel, and supporting the channel. Hope you guys have great holidays and a great next year. Next step for the Commander, I'm not sure yet. I got a couple things bouncing around in my head. One real major thing will be coming soon, super major. So that's going to be exciting. Stay tuned for that. Let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think of fitting 33s on a Jeep Commander? Is it worth the work? Is it worth the money? Let me know. And I'd love to read your comments and comment back. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Later.